Hey everyone, I'm Albert Boris. So Wave 3 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass just got announced out of nowhere. It was a completely normal day for me, just like any other day. I was just waiting to catch a bus to get home, scrolling through my Discord server in the meantime, when I found this. To call this a pleasant surprise would be an understatement. Even calling it an understatement would be an understatement. It's especially interesting because unlike the Wave 2 trailer, which was released precisely a week before its release, we're gonna have to wait until December 7th to play Wave 3, so that makes it all the more surprising they didn't wait until next week to announce it. But that's okay. In the meantime, we can look forward to playing what might just be the best wave of the entire Booster Course Pass, because I mean it, every single track announced looks kingly. So I thought, why not discuss this trailer more in depth? There are bound to be changes made to some of these tracks, both mechanical and aesthetical, and I also thought it would be fun to discuss our first impressions of these 8 new tracks. So you know what, with all that being said, let's just get started. We open up this discussion with London Loop, the opening and city track of the Rock Cup. This has personally been one of my most hyped tracks to play in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass for a long time. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that the city tracks have always been some of my most hyped tracks to play in this DLC, as a long-time geography and traveling fanatic. And as an ancestral Brit, London Loop in particular struck with me. So naturally, this is one of my most hyped tracks for Wave 3, and from what we've seen in the trailer so far, I'm not disappointed. I mean, it's not exactly what I had expected. The track has a much more reddish hue compared to the original London Loop, and it's a lot foggier as well, but otherwise, it seems to follow the tradition the other city tracks do, in having each lap take you through a different part of London. The trailer in particular showing off the first and second variants. London Loop 3 is interestingly enough not shown, but I doubt it means anything. It will probably be incorporated as well. I'm most impressed with the music though. I thought it would just be an orchestral remix of the original tune, but it turns out they even went around and changed some notes and added some sound effects for it to feel more epic. Needless to say, I'm incredibly impressed with how it turned out, and I can't wait to play this track. Next up is DS Peach Gardens. Yeah, actually no. It turns out they completely nullified the prefix leak. Basically, for everyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, after Wave 1's release, data miners were able to find out which console prefixes each track had. And it turned out to be true for Wave 2, so we all assumed it would be correct for Wave 3 to 6 as well, but no, everything beyond that was apparently just a placeholder. Well, time to redo my Wave 4 to 6 predictions. Now, Wave 3 isn't completely different from the prefix leak, but it's been slightly altered. As an example, what was originally thought to be the third track in this cup is now the second cup, GBA Boo Lake. Now, we're only at the second track of Wave 3, and this is already looking godly. Even if I would have preferred GBA Broken Pair, it was pretty obvious that they'd choose this one, as it already exists in Mario Kart Tour, from which most of these retro tracks come from. And honestly, I could care less about which one got in, because it looks like they nailed this track. The texturing and visuals are beautiful enough. I mean, look at that water. How is this track in the same DLC as Shroom Ridge? Like the tour version, the second half takes place underwater, which is already cool enough, but it's in anti-gravity as well? I can't believe they made such a simple track one of my most hyped ones. It has no right to be this quality. For that matter, Wave 3 on the whole seems to be a massive improvement over the previous 2 ones. Every one of these tracks have tremendously improved the art style to look more realistic, and added new gameplay features to make the track stand out. And then there's 3DS Alpine Pass. Okay, it's not that bad, but come on. Even though the waves have been improving with each release, it seems like each and every one of them will have at least one track that looks way worse than the others. For Wave 1, it was Toad Circuit and Shroom Ridge. For Wave 2, it was Mushroom Gorge. And now, it's Alpine Pass. Now obviously, it doesn't look awful. There is detailing, but on the whole, this one seems so much more plastic and fake than the others. Like, come on, did we really need more clay grass and cake road? This is also one of my favorite Mario Kart 7 tracks, so it hurts slightly more because of that. But I digress. It'll probably look fine enough when you do race, and in terms of gameplay changes, they made a final section where you race up the steep hill anti-gravity. which is a cool touch that will no doubt make it feel less frustrating, so I can't really complain that much. It is a bit of a shame that it's not the final track of the Rock Cup though. It would have fit so well as it with its intense and epic atmosphere. Instead, that is Wee Maple Treeway, which no doubt is gonna feel anticlimactic right after this. If they swapped their spots on release, that would be cool. Now Maple Treeway is an interesting course to see. Unlike all the other tracks in Wave 3, this one was actually data mined to be in Wave 6. Instead, GCN Waluigi Stadium was to take its spot, but I guess Nintendo thought it would be a cool idea if they didn't bring back a single GameCube track in 2022. Now, initially, that kind of upsets me. Not only are we overdue for a GameCube track in this DLC, but I've always preferred Waluigi Stadium over Maple Treeway personally, so that didn't help either. But honestly, looking at this track, I don't mind at all. I was slightly worried that they'd ruin it aesthetically, as both of the previous two Wii tracks in the Booster Course Pass looked pretty compared to their peers. But this is amazing. I mean, okay, the leaves aren't the best, but look at those branches. It's sprawling with charm in every direction, especially the redone tree shortcuts at the end. Wait, rewind a little. Where is the bridge? Have they not learned a single thing? So anyways, that was the Rock Cup. In my opinion, it's definitely shaping up to be a wonderful cup and a good first impression for Wave 3. And when we get to the Moon Cup, it looks like it's gonna be even better. As it turns out, this is where Peach Gardens is gonna make its appearance as a second track, not in the Rock Cup. On one hand, it feels a bit mellow for the final cup of 2022, but considering it was also the second track of the Special and Lightning Cups in Mario Kart DS and Wii, it makes sense to follow tradition. Even if this remake does look and sound more calming. This one was actually revealed way back in September alongside Merry Mountain in a teaser trailer, so I'm not as hyped on this one as the other tracks. Compared to the other ones, this one also takes a much more laid-back approach without any notable gameplay changes. Aesthetically, this one saw a complete redesign though. It's much darker in color now, and the bushes are much smaller. In fact, it honestly looks kind of empty. But I'm hopeful it won't feel that way when I do play Wave 3. The other Wave 3 track revealed in the September teaser was Merry Mountain, the unlabeled track this time. It's interesting how even though it was the first non-city tour track, it took 3 waves to see it in 8 Deluxe. But it's not that surprising considering it's Christmas themed and looks like absolute chaos. Visually, this is probably the prettiest track we'll get in Wave 3. Everything from the texturing to lighting and shading is spot on. And I didn't even mention the gameplay. They made the summit section in anti-gravity, put a glider at the end, and they even added the first half pipe ever to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We can all admit, this was the track that got us all hyped for Wave 3 to begin with. A track I'm a little more conflicted on is Berlin Byways, the Moon Cup's city track. Let's get this over with. The remix? It's kingly. Seriously, just listen to it for yourself. The track itself though? I was never the biggest fan of Berlin Byways in Mario Kart Tour, because even if it had a banger soundtrack, the course itself was rather basic. I mean, the third variant was literally just a highway. Nothing more, nothing less. So to put it in the final cup we'll be getting in 2022 feels contradictory. If it was night themed and more chaotic, it would have been a different story, but now it looks kinda empty. But I digress. Who knows? Maybe it will end up being my favorite course in the entire wave. We'll see. I'm definitely interested to see what the route will be though, since it's a bit of a complex course in that regard, with one variant having a completely different starting line. My prediction for it way back in August was absolutely awful however, so this is my new idea. Please let it be correct. Either way, it's definitely not my most hyped track. That is 3DS Rainbow Road. Admittedly, before seeing this track in the trailer, I wasn't particularly hyped for it. It was data mined to appear as the final track in the Moon Cup beforehand, and even excluding that information, it was obvious that it would appear here. It wouldn't make sense to not have a Rainbow Road to end off the year, and in this one, you even drive on the moon. The reason I wasn't hyped was mostly due to its remake in Tour, and the fact that most of the Wii/3DS retro tracks we've been getting for the Booster Course Pass have aesthetically been the most devolved. It was the case with Toad Circuit, Coconut Mall, Mushroom Gorge, and even Alpine Pass. But this is amazing! I mean, okay, some parts look a little rough, like the Rings of Saturn, but everything else? I'm speechless. The rainbows, the moon, everything looks flawless. They even added anti-gravity to the moon section. Like, How can this not be my most hyped track for Wave 3? The Wave 3 trailer on the whole has taught me an important lesson, which I think we can all take part of. Never expect anything to be good. If it isn't good, you won't get disappointed. If it is good, well, your expectations will be exceeded no matter what. Like with me in 3DS Rainbow Road now, for example. And overall, those were my first impressions on the newly revealed courses for Wave 3 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. But what are your thoughts on the new tracks? Which courses are you most hyped to play when Wave 3 comes out, and which one do you think will totally suck? If you like this video, then please make sure to like, share and subscribe to my channel as I talk about everything Mario related. With that being said, I'm signing off.